talking about that balance between good times and bad times, the lessons that we take from each. Heard a quote recently that said, "Every man knows reflection and introspection when he's at his lowest." Bad times, you can't do anything other than wallow in retrospective assessment. But one of my favorite things I've learned from you is when things are going well, given that that's presumably what you want to have more of, maybe worth deconstructing that.
Yes. I wish I could more, and I think more of us could all deconstruct our assets. Happiness, you can't guarantee it, but there is a science to satisfaction. There, you can look at habits that engineered less pain in your life, maybe more pleasure, but at least less pain, and that's a win. I try to deconstruct. Look, do I write it? Did I used to write as much? Look, at anybody who's ever kept a diary. What's the old sort of nostalgic idea of a diary? You go there when you're in pain and you share thoughts that you don't want to share with anyone else of those reflection. And I did used to, for some reason, I don't know why, but would force myself to write every day, no matter how happy I was. And I didn't a lot of times want to go write when I was happy, because I was like, no, I don't need to write it. I don't need to become conscious of it.
I'm having too much fun. It's getting in the way.
Come on, I'm doing it. It's living, it's happening. And in writing Greenlights, when I went back, that's a lot of the consistencies that I found that I wrote when things were going well, that I was for some reason, taking time to go, can I try and bottle some science here to why things are going well? And I did find consistencies. Who I was hanging out with at night, what I was drinking, what bar I was at, what food I was drinking, how exercise, preparation for work, for school. And I found things I was like, you were really happy in this segment of your life. Let's go back and look at what you were doing. Oh, man, I had Augmentino scrolls. I was on them every day. I had some discipline where I was checking in with myself. Oh, you were going to church on Sundays. You were saying thank you, God, before you went to bed each night. You were appreciating more. You were pointing out beautiful things and not taking them for granted. And so I found a list of things. I was like, and when I get off track, I try to remind myself, you've been slacking on some of those. And I could pull it off. I've evolved. I got different ways. I can get away with some now, but I've definitely found consistencies, and I think we all have them if we just notate them along the way, that they're not by accident. Because we sure as hell deconstruct the reasons when we're in the funk, and we don't believe they're by accident. We can take ourselves to behind the woodshed and show ourselves exactly why we're guilty for every reason and condemn ourselves for every damn reason we got to that spot. Yeah. Well, if we're going to do that, I just say, let's cheers. Let's have a cheers on the way for all the things that will work for when we have shit going right. Also knowing that it's not forever, that we will have a mountain to climb here shortly.
Isn't it interesting? So much of content that people like to consume, books, podcasts, autobiographies, memoirs, is deconstructing the success of others. So we'll happily dissect success in other people,
right? And
yet only dissect failure in ourselves. This odd asymmetry where we bestow all of the glory on those people. Well done. And I must find out how to do it more, even if it doesn't fit me, even if they're a different constitution, different background, different time. For me, I'll focus on the negatives.
Right.
There's a really interesting stat around the likelihood of you ensuring that your dog completes a course of antibiotics is about 95%. The likelihood that you ensure that you'll complete a course of antibiotics is about 50%. So we're prepared to look after an animal twice as well as ourselves.
I wrote a note the other day, man.
What does that say on the back of your phone? The sticker?
Oh,
choose to shine. Very cool.
My daughter gave me that.
Yeah.
I wrote the other day, and then most of what I do is I use this notes app, right? And I wrote the other day, where is it? it was on that note. I was like, what's my best advice I need to give myself right now is listen to my own damn advice.
Yeah.
And it followed that up with, where is it? Yeah. Trying to live with less gravity and more backbone is a salty task.
What's that mean to you?
Trying to live lighter with less gravity, live lighter, not take certain things so seriously, but still have the principled backbone. Because as I'm getting older, we get older and the black and whites turn to gray. And then there's a great word, compromise, we all say, which is such a mature thing to do. And then all of a sudden we let things slide and then we start going, well, change will happen. Hey, change is inevitable. Let change happen. And I'm not ready. That's part of getting old, I think, not just getting older. Same with cynicism. It's a disease of getting too old. And I don't want to be ready to give up certain things. I'm going, no, man. The beauty of ignorance, those things that we believed in. I've gotten away with so many things because of my ignorance. I would be dead 14 times in this life if I wouldn't have been ignorant of the situation I was in. And so, yeah, not knowing or knowing what we know. It's anyway, yeah, it's more backbone to hold on and be principled to what I stand for, what I stand against, when it becomes easier and easier to just go with the flow. And I'm not ready to go, let's just go with the flow. I don't want to pick the wrong battles. I'm trying to be discerning and not picking the wrong fights, because I like picking fights and going after challenges. But I'm in a place, I'm kind of like, man, it's tough duty to win the fair fights. And there's a lot of unfair fights out there. And why do I want to spend my time, if I got 24 hours a day, picking unfair fights when I'm going to be busting my ass to win the fair ones?
Well, also picking fights with yourself. You hinted just there at the difficulty of a negative inner voice. You take things seriously. You care about what you're doing. You want to achieve things in this world, which means that you need to have high standards.
Yep.
You need to posit an ideal. But as soon as you posit an ideal, you then begin to compare yourself to that ideal. And often you find yourself lacking because it's a fucking ideal.
Yep. I think it's why a lot of relationships don't work. We make her Wonder Woman and she makes us Superman, and neither one of us can live up to it. And that we've got that bulb, that honeymoon bulb turned up to 100 watts, and the honeymoon's over. We're trying to deal with some real base stuff. Let's leave it at 20 watts. We're just lit, but we're not just feverishly, superhuman. And I think a lot of us just purport that on someone else, and they can't live up to it. And it ends up not being fair to them. And then they do the same to us, and we both walk away going, I underwhelmed.
Do you know the idea of the Michelangelo effect? Have you heard of this? Awesome. So the Michelangelo effect describes a situation in a relationship, friendship, or intimate partnership where each partner sees the best in the other and tries to help bring that out. So the sum of the parts is greater than it is individually. And the reason I love it is why it's called the Michelangelo effect. So the block of marble that David was carved from had been attempted by a number of other sculptors previously. Huge, monstrous thing. If you've ever seen David in person,
I have.
Ginormous. People can't, and when you're looking up as well with that angle on the plinth, it's even bigger. Previous sculptures had attempted and failed, but Michelangelo saw inside of the marble what was David.
Right.
He just needed to get away all of the things that weren't. And I love that idea.
Yeah.
I think in life you want to be finding people that believe in you more than you believe in you, that hold you to higher standards.
I think that's the definition of a good friend. I think that's the definition of a good partner. A good definition of a good husband, wife. That they remind us of the best of ourselves. They shine that light and remind us, because we do. I know I do. I put the blinds on it and I don't see it a lot of times, and I'll be reminded. This has always been a thing for me. And I don't know how this correlates, but I've never been as good in my dreams as I am in real life. I never win the day, get the girl, ace the test. I can perform in my dreams I never have, as well as I will in real life.
I think I'm the same.
And I guess what I'm saying is I'll pull something off. I'm like, did everyone see that? And my friends are like, no shit. That's you, bro. What's the biggie? You know what I mean? It's kind of what I like about living in Austin, Texas. They're not really impressed with shit that I pull off. They thought it was cool. I won an Oscar, but they were like, well, no shit. You know? And I was kind of like, oh, all right. Yeah. Thank you, man. That's, and that's what friends will do in a way. Loved ones will do that and be like, yeah, there you are.
Again, it comes back to that. It's so much easier to be supportive and gentle of other people than of ourselves. You will happily bestow this sort of gentle, reassuring pat on the shoulder when somebody succeeds or falls short when they tried their best.
Right.
Yet, given the fact that you tried your best, you give yourself a kick in the dick on the way out of the door and a harsh word to follow you.
Yep. What do you think about when you do succeed and a lot of people go, nope, that's nothing. I prescribed it. I think we should take some time to be able to look in the mirror and own that thing that we pulled off and go, good job. That's what you wanted. That's what you got. At the same time, be able to, as we do more often, look in the mirror when we fail and go, bogey, you did not pull that off. You know what I mean? But I mean, it's kind of, I'm big into the ownership idea, the fail or the gain, ownership being really important. And I'm a fan of the ego. I wish people, someone said this to me before. Look, this acquaintance said this. It came off the cuff. I didn't even think about it. She was like, tell me, Matthew, you're so full of yourself. And without thinking, I was like, well, who else am I supposed to be full of?
That's a good line.
And I stopped after. I was like, that's exactly what I meant. And I went and wrote that down. I wish more people were more full of themselves. Not in the arrogant way, but I'm talking about a healthy ego to understand. And I understand the ego's difference between I and me. Me's the objective, but to know the I wish we were more full of ourselves. I wish more people in the world were more full of themselves. I think part of the challenges in life is a lot of us are running around half-assing ourselves. Half-fooling ourselves, not full of ourselves, not studying ourselves enough, not holding ourselves to task enough, not patting our own self on the back when we do get what we want enough, not cracking our own whip on our backside when we do get out of line even though we knew better. I wish we were more full of ourselves that way.
In other news, this episode is brought to you by Shopify. Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the United States, and they're the global force behind Gymshark, Skims, Alo, and Newtonic. Look, you're not going into business to learn how to code or build a website or do back-end inventory management. Shopify takes all of that off your hands and allows you to focus on the job that you came here to do, which is designing and selling an awesome product. And when it comes to converting browsers into buyers, they are best in class. Their checkout is 36% better on average compared to other leading commerce platforms. And with Shop Pay, you can boost conversions up to 50%. Best of all, their award-winning support is there to help you every step of the way. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that we use at Newtonic with Shopify. Right now, you can sign up for a $1 per month trial period by going to the link in the description below or heading to shopify.com/modernwisdom, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/modernwisdom to upgrade your selling today. Thank you very much for tuning in. Look, we went to a lot of effort to get Mr. McConaughey here and convert an old barn that's from the 1800s in Texas. So I really hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time.